What's good? What's good? How we doing, people? Give me 1 second. We got to rock and roll. Don't mind the loud sound. All is okay. Still working out some of the technical difficulties here. But, guys, how are we doing? Let's cut the music down. There you go. We're back. Had a little bit of a disconnect there for a while. You guys are still with me. That is awesome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Coach G's Radical Man Show, guys. This is episode number 7. And guys, we're going to keep kicking ass like we've been doing all week long. We've had a great talk this week. We've discussed, how to handle the what the fuck kind of moments that we deal with in our life as men. Yesterday we had a chance and we switched sides a little bit. It went from the man brain back over to like the porn brain a little bit, right? And we started talking about not just the habit cycle, what is a habit, but then we broke down the part where we need to be able to make the biggest impact. Really one of the 2 areas, right? So if you guys remember from yesterday, it was thoughts and your cravings. So let's keep this let's keep it going with thoughts. And yesterday, when we left off with our thoughts, we left off discussing our deadly thoughts, right? And today we're going to discuss how to defeat those deadly thoughts. So let's go ahead and do a quick recap, right? I mean, yesterday we came in, and we talked about our thoughts. We got 4 of them. So what are the thoughts we got? First one. Self-deprecating. Right? What's the second one? Self-doubt. We got a third one. We got entitlement. That was a biggie. That was the biggie that we talked about yesterday. And then number 4, we have our sex and or our personal objectification thoughts. So we got our 4 thoughts, right? So here's the deal. I left you guys yesterday saying, hey, we got 4 thoughts. And the next step says, well, look, Coach G, if it's our thoughts that are producing some bad actions for us, well, then how the heck are we going to change our thoughts so we can start doing the right actions? Great question. So glad you guys asked it. I'm even more happy that I got the information prepared for you guys today. So let's go ahead and jump into it, right? All right. Now, here's what we got to understand. When we discuss our habits, I had an eraser here, and then it went away. Got it back. So let's take a look. Defeating deadly thoughts. What are we looking to do to defeat deadly thoughts? There's a couple steps we want to look at, right? The first step, mindful awareness. Guys, look, we just have to flat out know what it is we are dealing with when it comes to these habits. Like, if we don't know, then we can't make the next step right. So, let's break this down. Mindful awareness. Most of us are familiar with the word awareness, right? I mean, we just got to be aware. It's like just the knowledge of something that exists, right? You don't got to necessarily maybe know all the intricate parts about it, right? Like, we're aware of air. I'm not asking you to break down what air is. We're aware of the sun. I'm not asking you to give me all the components of the sun. But I do need you to be aware that these things do exist. So, first is just the awareness of these thoughts. But what is mindful? Right? And guys, I got to tell you, this is probably where I struggled the most just going through this process and working with Craig. I mean, he wanted me to be mindful. And when I'm hearing the word mindful, like, the first thing that's coming to mind for me is like yoga. Like meditation, like humming. That's what I'm thinking about when it's about mindfulness. Here's the reality, though. I need you guys to understand some definitions, all right? So we're going to look at just mindful, where mindful comes from, which is really Mindfulness. And here's why mindfulness is important. Mindfulness basically means the opposite of a habit. So let's do a little bit of a backtrack, right? We talked about yesterday what a habit was, the definition of a habit. It's an automatic reaction to an external stimuli. Automatic reaction to an external stimuli. So now let's break down what mindfulness is. Mindfulness says that we are doing a couple things. We are going to be present. Like when something happens, we can't like fast forward to the next part. We can't escape, if you will. Right? A lot of times that happens. A situation happens and we don't want to really stay present within that situation. Right? We want to be able to find an escape somehow to get out of it. And that's where we make the first mistake, because the escape is nothing more than us going into habit land and not dealing with what we got to deal with. Whether you're talking about an addiction or you're just trying to be a man dealing with life, we have to understand mindfulness and being present. Good, bad, ugly, and different. Doesn't matter. We got to be present, fully engaged in the moment. Be present, and that's the next part. In the moment, like right now. Guys, mindfulness is not about having an event and then you putting it aside until it's like what we all say, right? It's a better time to be able to deal with it. Guys, look, I'm probably more guilty of this than anything else as I work in bettering myself with personal development. I mean, my family, my friends, they'll all tell you that it's sometimes my difficulty is being in the moment. If it's a stressful situation, it's about being in the moment. Listen, you guys already heard from my What the Fuck episode we had on Monday, guys. Like, my wife and my kids are getting ready to move to Las Vegas. And yes, we've talked about this kind of move happening, but it's like a real thing. So when it came time to like make the real steps and the real decisions, I mean, guys, I wasn't in the moment. I was trying to be present, but I was like, look, deal with it later. My daughter was asking me, hey, Dad, when are we going to go to Maryland? Talking about that later. Honey, when you want to get the tickets? Talking about that later. Now, here's the deal. Later got me the same answers that I was going to get right then in the moment. Except that by waiting till later, it just ends up costing me more. Now, I got a frustrated daughter who doesn't know what's happening and wants to spend time with dad, brother, the whole nine, knows she's traveling. I haven't come out and given her the right answer. I have now. Like, she knows when she's going to come see dad in Maryland. And even with my wife and the tickets. Like, I got the tickets almost the very next day that we had this conversation about it, but I wanted to, like, wait with it. And the waiting, guys, here's what it cost me. We didn't get cheaper tickets. Tickets are more expensive, so I can have all these different concerns about, man, the move and finances, but if I'm not being present in the moment, I'm going to end up causing a greater jeopardy to myself. This is just about guys, we even got to the deadly thoughts. I just need you to understand mindfulness right now. Here's the third part about mindfulness. And here's probably the most important part I want you guys to get. It's without judgment. But it's without judgment, guys. And can I tell you, that's probably the hardest thing us as human beings to do. We are just emotional creatures. We are emotionally driven. You're not going to find anybody who can be able to talk about that, right? Like, who's not going to be able to refute that. We are an emotional creature. We have to understand that emotions are going to flow through us more often than not. When we're asked something, our emotions guide a big part of how we're going to handle that decision. If we feel upset, frustrated, angry, mad, sad, experience anxiety, all these things, it's going to impact our ability to be mindful and have great awareness. You see, the without judgment part is so key because, again, habit says that I'm going to automatically react to the external stimuli. So now that we're talking about mindfulness, and it means that it's going to be without judgment, right? Like, I'm not going to be held accountable right now. Like, it's not about even the accountability. It's saying there's no right, there's no wrong, there's no good, there's no bad. It is what it is in front of me right now. I got in a car accident. Not really just an example, but hey, I've been in plenty of car accidents before. You know, especially when I was in my addict days, like when I had bad habits around drinking and driving and the whole nine. I had tons of accidents in my childhood, in my earlier youthful years, right? And thankfully, I'm still here right now. But what happens after the car accident? There's nothing but tons of blame. Guilt, shame. God, I messed up. Why did I do that? I should have did this. I should have did that. Instead of being without judgment, I got a chance to really affect action right now. Same car accident, I go to it without judgment. I can just take a look at what happened, and now I can make the best decision possible for me moving forward. Insurance. Next ride. Who am I going to get in contact with? What do I need to correct about myself? No good, no bad. It just is what it is. So again, mindfulness. Be present in the moment without judgment. Listen, I'm going to tell you this right now. If you're married and or have kids, you need to understand that this is probably going to be the biggest asset to your relationship. Your ability to practice mindfulness. You got to think about that. With kids, you're in a relationship. Emotions are running wild. You got to be present in the moment without judgment. Arguments are going to happen. Kids are going to do kid things. It's part of the process. They're going to irritate you, ignore you, upset you, love you. Like, they'll flood you all around with the emotions, right? So listen, same thing with our spouses. We got to be present in the moment without judgment. If you want to really affect those relationships or any relationship around you, it's about your ability, not their ability to connect and relate to you. It's your ability to be able to practice and demonstrate mindfulness. The more you can do this, the more you're not in habit land. And now the more you get a chance to really observe and see everything that's taking place around you. Now, let's keep this going. So we know that the kind of awareness we have requires us to be present in the moment and without judgment, right? So we got mindful awareness. Now what's next? Next up, we got tools. All right, so here's the tool that I need you guys to understand. You're going to love it because it's just that easy. All right, real easy. First thought wrong, second thought right. First thought wrong, second thought right. Now, here's the real problem, right? And I'm going to talk about this real briefly. Now, here's the issue, especially with men. Guys, I'm going to talk to y'all right now. Listen, here's the problem that we have, right? We are so ego-centered. And again, emotional. Those two E's are going to jack us up. Your ego and your emotions. So what does that lead us to say? If I got a strong ego and my emotions carry a lot of significant weight with me, well then that leads to tell me that, you know what? My first thoughts ain't always wrong. As a matter of fact, most of my first thoughts are actually right. I only have a bad thought in these couple areas here. So why I got to go around thinking that, well, my first thought is wrong? Again, here's what we got to understand. If we are emotional creatures, I'm not talking to you as an addict right now. I'm not talking to you as somebody with a compulsive habit right now. I'm talking to you as an individual. We have to understand that if we are ego and emotionally based creatures, beings, then how realistic is it for us to say that our first reaction, our first response, our first thought to a particular situation is not going to be emotionally driven or ego driven? How often can we really say that and be 100% accurate in that decision and saying my first thoughts are not wrong? Because that's what it's coming down to right now. We're not in to play this game to just get an 80 or a 90. We need to get 100. You know, it's funny, we've been talking about this. My son, he's going through his permit process right now, right? I mean, the guy, he can get behind the wheel, he can drive. You know, he's taking the practice test, and we were talking about what's happening between the practice test and you going to take the real test. And he said, Dad, listen, when I take the practice test, I know, we can only miss no more than 4. And every time I take this practice test, I'm scoring like a 22 or higher. So his first thoughts say that, you know what, by me hitting a 22 or higher, I'm going to be able to go into and take the real test and still get the same results, 22 or higher. It doesn't work that way. His first thoughts carried him where? Thinking that the work he did was adequate. First thought wrong. Second thought, he's been missing this permit test by really outside of the 4 questions you're allowed to miss. Like after the 5th one means you failed the test basically, right? Like with all that being considered now, he's only been missing this thing by like 1 or 2 questions. What do I mean by that? What I'm saying is that the approach in the beginning being 100%, and he wanted to give 100%. He didn't just say that, you know what, I'm only going to focus in this one little area right here. If he gets 100% on a practice test, well then that means he gets to walk out of that real test only missing 1 or 2 questions. And what? He has a permit. First thought wrong, guys. Second thought is the right thought. Now here's the deal when it comes to your thoughts. What I just do with it? Just had it. And it just went away. But that's okay because I'm prepared. Here's what I want you guys to get. We'll switch it up a little bit here. Before you get here, or not really before, but once you're here and you understand that thought was wrong, I need you to identify. Identify the thought. Was it a self-deprecating thought? Was it a self-doubt thought? Was it a self-entitlement thought? Was it a sexual or personal objectification thought? What were you thinking? I don't want you just running in here saying that, oh man, my first thought, that's wrong, let me go switch it up right now. I want you to know what you're thinking. I want you to be able to recognize when you say, I feel like crap and I'm a shitty person. Damn, I just called myself a shitty person. That is a self-deprecating thought. I'm talking like crap to myself. So now I got to go here, second thought right. Well, then now I can identify how to make the right thought. If it's not about talking, what's the opposite of talking crap to yourself? Speaking something positive. Finding something positive. Let's make this a real case example, right? The first thought, self-deprecating thought. I'm a loser. I feel, make it even more specific, right? Let's just say, I forgot to mail in the bill on time. Oh man, I suck. Such a fucking loser. All I had to do was put a stamp on this damn thing and drop it in the mail and then it'd been all done with. God, I suck. I'm horrible. First thought wrong. Second thought. What is that second real thought? You know what? Thankfully, I at least have the money to pay the bill. There's a lot of people out here right now that can't even pay the daggone bills that they're getting right now. They're overextending themselves. So my focus right now is not about how crappy I am. It's just saying that, you know what, I just got to be more timely with how I'm getting out the resources that I have to pay for what it is I'm receiving. Self-doubt. Oh man, you know what? I've messed this up 3 or 4 times already. I doubt I'm ever going to get this right. I shouldn't even really begin this thing. There's no point in me really even starting this again. You know, I've relapsed. I've fallen off the wagon now. Like, what am I supposed to do right now? First thought wrong. Second thought. You know what? I recognize that, you know what, I had a bit of a slip. I had a quote-unquote relapse. But when the relapse happened, I can recognize that now, okay, going back, this is what took place, this is what took place, this is what took place. And hey, some of that was either A, things that I was aware of and wasn't quite prepared for, or B, things that I had no idea was going to trigger me in such a way that it would cause me to respond. Now I am aware. Now I can create the plan. Self-entitlement. You know what? Me and the wife haven't been getting along too well lately, and you know, I mean, we're in separate homes right now. I mean, I'm a man after all, right? I mean, I am a man, and men have needs, right? If she's not going to provide the need, then I need to be able to go somewhere I can have that need provided. I've done so much that entitles me to go out here and satisfy these manly urges that I have. First thought wrong. Second thought. Alright, I just had an entitlement thought that just happened. Making me feel like I was entitled to go out here and act out to violate my vows, even though I'm not divorced right now. You know, we are separated, but I'm not divorced, so I still have vows that I have to adhere to right now. And this gives me the opportunity to demonstrate how I can be faithful even when we're not in the same home. First thought wrong. Second thought right. Your sex, your personal objectifying thoughts, right? Like, oh my God, look at that ass. Like, oh, man. Oh, man, look at that house over there. Do you see that house? That should be my house right there. That should be my house right there. Who is this guy coming over here walking out of this business right now? I should have his job right now. I should be able to have all of that right now. I want all of that. First thought wrong. Okay, you know what? I just sat up there and I just looked only at her butt. What else am I missing? What else from this scene am I missing right now? I objectified her sexually. What else am I missing out of this scene right now? Oh, wow. She has this kind of facial expression that I don't necessarily find attractive. I'm in a committed relationship right now. I have something better to do with my time. I realize that, you know, the environment that I'm in right now isn't a safe environment for me right now. That's what the objectification, guys. You got to realize objectifying means that you're doing just that. You're looking at one little small thing here. And you've decided that that somehow is now going to become the life for you. That's not it. So now, we got our tools, right? First thought wrong. Second thought right. Now, here's what's going to be really important for us. As we move forward here, and you guys are defeating your deadly thoughts, and you guys are solid on your mindful awareness. You guys are practicing mindfulness. You guys have your tools. You're practicing first thought wrong. You're practicing second thought right. I want to help you right now in understanding something. You don't kill the deadly thoughts. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that there isn't going to be a point when you're going to arrive in your life where these thoughts will no longer ever exist. The purpose, though, of you doing this is that they no longer will have an effect. You got to recognize the difference in that. The things that are around us, the triggers that are around us, the thoughts that are around us, the compulsive habits that are here, all these things, guys, they don't go away. Like, they don't die. Like, nobody is coming along to swipe out pharmaceutical medication if you deal with, you know, prescription drug addiction kind of deal. Nobody's coming around to wipe out the porn industry. It's not going to happen. It's a multi-billion dollar industry. It's not going to happen. I mean, heck, certain states, we got legalized prostitution right now. It's not going to happen. So you got to understand that it's not about these things going away from your life. But this is really about you getting to a place where you have enough awareness and use of your tools to where they no longer have an effect. That's the key part here. Big button to smile, always going to be around. No effect. Disgruntled, client, upset, family, someone cuts me off on the highway, none of these things are going to go away. The days that I wake up, believe it or not, guys, I have a little small tinge of like some self-doubt and self-deprecating thoughts before I do each and every one of these. And what I have to go through is I get to say, you know what, George? You don't doubt yourself. You're not going to crap on yourself. You just got some real nervous energy because you're about to get on here and bring it. First thought wrong. Second thought right. Know your thoughts. Identify the thoughts. Here's what I need for you guys to do. Wrapping up. I want you all to spend the next couple days. Hell, I don't care if it's just the rest of the day. But I want you all to really document and track the kind of thoughts you're having. And I want you to really look at this. I want you to say, you know what, if this is my thought, what triggered the thought? And if this is the thought, what action does this normally lead me to? Just track your thoughts so you can know them. And then the next step is to be able to say, you know what? First thought wrong, second thought right. You wake up in the morning, your alarm clock goes off, snooze button, first thought wrong. Your first thought is that I'm entitled to a few more hours of rest. I'm only going to need like a few more minutes. I don't got to get up right now. First thought wrong. Second thought right. Doesn't matter what it is. I implore and admonish every single one of you all to just accept with pure, mindful awareness that our first thoughts are the wrong thoughts. Try it for a day and just see what your life looks like by the end of the day when you start practicing the right thought. When you accept that, you know what, the first thought in my head is going to be the wrong thought. On my way home, out all day, I'm hungry. First thought is pick up some fast food. I just did this yesterday. Like, this is what's the crazy part. I literally did this yesterday. I messed up with my first thought wrong, second thought right. Because I was out all day. I didn't eat from sun up until about really 5 o'clock. And I run and grab me some fast food, knowing good and well I got dinner plans later that night at a great restaurant to have a great, well-balanced meal. So what happens with George? I go, I eat the fast food, I show up at the place, at the great restaurant, I don't even order what I really wanted to get kind of deal because I wasn't really feeling it. And then on top of that, I didn't even eat my whole meal. I was being treated to a meal at a great restaurant. I mean, guys, I'm telling you, I could have got a 20-ounce bone-in ribeye steak. Didn't get it. Simply because I tracked it. I thought about it. I said, wait a minute, Joe, what's the problem? What do you mean you didn't get the steak? How does that happen with you? I always eat a steak. I'm about to eat a steak as soon as I get off this call with you guys today. And I thought about it as that my first thought. And I had to track it back. That first thought was that, doesn't matter, go get something to eat. Doesn't matter about the dinner coming up tonight, get something to eat. It won't hurt you if you get fast food and mess up your dinner. First thought wrong. Second thought, you better treat today like Thanksgiving. Don't eat a single thing till you're at the table and they start bringing out the food. That's where it had to be. Alright? So listen, guys. That's our first thought wrong, second thought right. This is us defeating our deadly habits. I am Coach G. As always, guys, feel free to get in contact with me. Drop me a message. George@themindfulhabit.com. Shoot me a call. 443-600-9169. Send me an email or give me a call. I want to know your deadly thoughts. I want to know how you've practiced mindful awareness, and I want to know how you're using the tools. Let me know. Love you guys. And remember, kick ass. Peace.